Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker. We begin in South Africa, where former President Jacob Zuma appeared in a Durban court to face 16 counts of corruption, racketeering, fraud and money laundering linked to a 1990 arms deal. After the 75-year-old's 15-minute appearance at the High Court in Durban, the case was adjourned until the 8th of June, when Mr. Zuma's legal team and state prosecutors agreed to the postponement.
It's been former President Jacob Zuma's day in court. He's facing 16 of 18 charges of fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering. There are 783 counts representing the number of times bribe money was allegedly paid into his account in an arms deal. Mr. Zuma arrived in court ahead of schedule. The courtroom was filled to capacity with mostly his supporters who chanted his name when he entered. He appeared alongside Ms. Christine Gourier, a representative of the co-accused, a French defense company. Given the background of the case, the counsel for the state really down and requested an adjournment because of a number of reasons, which include providing the accused with copies of the docket, and also to give room for an application for a review of the decision to try him in the first place, brought by the defense for Mr. Zuma. The state requested a trial date to be set for November the 12th, 2018, which the defense is yet to accept.
Of course, on the 8th of June, everyone will be in a better position to work out where the matter proceeds from there. And then, my Lord, the reference to trial and the 12th of November that was suggested, my Lord, that is really a matter which will have to be discussed on the next occasion. So for now, we just record that we're not agreeing to any subsequent enrollment until we hear on the 8th of June when the matter is reassessed. That is our position.
For the reasons advanced by counsel for the state in agreement with the defense, this matter is adjourned to the 8th of June 2018, which is a provisional date.
After the proceedings, the former president walked through to the massive crowd of supporters waiting for him outside the court. Speaking in isiZulu, he says he is the victim here, wounded by the people he grew up with.
If this crowd was the judge of that case in court, it may just be an open and shut case in favor of Mr. Jacob Zuma, but then it is not. Back to legal reality, the case has been adjourned to a provisional date of June the 8th, 2018, and both accused have been released on warning to make themselves available at the next court date. From the Durban High Court, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
And indeed, Betty Dibia, our South Africa Bureau Chief, joins us now via telephone. Hello, Betty. What more can you tell us about today's brief court case? Betty, if you're there and if you can hear me, what can you tell us about today's brief court case? All right, it appears we lost her. Hopefully, we'll try and get a hold of her, especially on what happened today in court, bringing back the former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma. But let's quickly talk to our guest who is in the studio, Mr. Declan Ihekare. He's a human rights activist as well as an African affairs analyst. Good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Ex-President Jacob Zuma's, he appeared in court today for corruption charges relating to, I think it's $2.5 billion arms deal as at 1990. Now, some people say this is a dramatic development, on the African continent where political leaders are rarely held to account for, actions in the past.
Yeah, to me and to people of like mind, he is not a dramatic development. Is a welcoming development, but it could be seen as a dramatic development where you look at the praise singing and the dancing that went on in court today. It could be seen as a dramatic development. But when it comes to reality, I say it's a good development because it shows that Africa continent are beginning to wise up to understanding that no matter what you do as a leader, one day you'll be held accountable. You'll be called to give account, to render account. And whereby you fail to do that, there is this last place of judgment, which is the court. I'm also happy because it's coming closer to West Africa. It used to be outside the shore of Africa. Now it has gotten to South Africa, and gradually it will get to West Africa, where Nigeria belongs, where we still have a lot of past leaders who still feel that they are untouchable, who still feel that they cannot be taken to court of justice. Very, very soon, I'm very sure, the world is shaking against those corrupt people who fail or who still believe that they are untouchable.
But let me ask you, because Zuma and his supporters say it's politically motivated. There's some sort of political conspiracy.
It has always been that way. A politician will contest election, he will lose. He will say it is the handiwork of the opponent. So also when they are engaged in corrupt practices and they are caught, okay, you are bound to hear them say such. But the court has the final say. When the court says he actually committed the offense, then his supporters will get a clearer message to that effect. Until we get to the end of the case, anybody is bound to say anything.
Well, at the 15-minute hearing, George Themba Sishi, I believe we saw that, said that Zuma was free on warning and could face several years in prison. But Zuma says that he would be proven innocent.
Yeah. Zuma has been arraigned under what I called under caution. Under caution, it means he's a suspect. It means he is being prosecuted. So he's under warning. So it means his case lies on what I call a stronger argument, either from his lawyer or from the prosecuting lawyers. Okay? Now, if at the end of it all, he does not have enough evidences to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt, of course, the warning of the judge will stand. And it goes to show that the judge in South Africa is sending a warning that, look, I don't care who you are, whether you're a past president or a current president. As far as I am the judge, I still have a say in what is going on what has been brought before him. And it's unlike what still happens in some West African countries, where you see a serving or an ex-president or ex-minister or ex-something being taken to court, and you hear a situation where the judges are being, talked to mellow down. But what has happened today in South Africa is to show the level of the judicial system in South Africa. That's to show the level of division among the three tiers of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. That's exactly what you're saying.
Interesting to note that we also saw huge crowds of supporters that accompanied him to court. This really talks about how loved and accepted he is.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I said that is the dramatic aspect of it. Africans are yet to wake up from that slumber. In Nigeria here, it happened. It happens all over Africa, where you see, I wouldn't say they're hired, I wouldn't say they're not hired. But in Nigeria here, I'm a witness. I've seen a situation where somebody who had committed a heinous crime will go to court and he will get people to come and start beating drums. Sometimes they get uniforms to start singing. But at the end of it all, where does it lead to? And from what I've seen today, from the outcome of what transpired in the court and what happened outside, there's a lot of difference. He could be jubilating outside, and tomorrow he's been sent to jail. So it behoves on the people who are being asked to come to court to start singing praises of people, to wake up from their slumber. What are we really praising? Who is this person? Let him face his music. He is between Zuma and the court, and not between Zuma and the people. As a human rights lawyer, what are your thoughts on the adjourn date, June the 8th? Isn't it rather long? I'm a human rights activist, not a lawyer. Now, the adjourn date, it's just the wisdom of the court. I wouldn't stand here to say it's too long or it's too short. It's just by the wisdom of the court. The court has reason why they have adjourned the case to that moment. But one thing that I'm sure of is that I'm happy of today is the war against corruption, against the untouchables, is coming closer to West Africa. And I'm very sure very soon the untouchables in Nigeria, the untouchables in Ghana, and other places in Africa will be touched.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Declan Hekari, human rights activist and African affairs analyst, for coming on the program.